What's going on, everybody? It's your boy DG. Welcome back. Everybody's always asking me questions about relationships. They're asking me questions about how do I know when I find the one? So I decided to bring on my better half, my mate of the soul, my beautiful wife, Carly. So say hello to Carly.
Hi, guys.
As always, anything that we ever talk about, let us know how it makes you feel in the comments. And if it resonates with you, go ahead and hit like and subscribe. And make sure you send it to at least 2 other people. Because here's what we're going to do. We are going to help you to better cultivate all parts of your life. So people are always asking me, like, how did you and Carly meet? And, how did you guys know that you guys were going to get married? And so I figured we can just come on here and just tell everybody ourselves. Curious from your perspective, what did you think when you saw me for the first time?
Well, I was
Smitten with love.
smitten with love. I was 21, and I remember seeing you and thinking, who is that? He looks like he's like somebody, but I didn't know. We were out, and you were with your teammates, your Globetrotter teammates.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, they look like they're athletes, and I've never seen them here before.
Because we were in a little podunk town and nobody, people like us didn't come around there that often.
Right. They look like they're not typically here. And then I just kept staring at you, I remember, and thinking like, well, you know what I honestly thought? I thought, okay, well, this is far away, but as soon as he gets close to me, he's probably gonna like be weird, or there's gonna be something about him that I surely don't like, because far away he seems like great.
So it's funny you say that, because from my perspective, you kept staring at me. But then I realized for me to know that you're staring at me, that means I would have had to have been staring at you too. So I was doing the same. But then I never will forget, I looked to the left and you were there and it was all dark. And then there was this light that was coming, like you were literally glowing. Maybe what I need to do is draw it out so you can see. But I'm like, she was glowing in this darkness. Like, how is this? Of course, now looking back on it, I believe on a spiritual level, when you see your soulmate, they will resonate with you on a level that you will know, but you won't know in that moment. And now looking back on it, I saw you with my third eye. I saw you literally you were just this halo of light in this dark place. So anyway, should we tell them how I found you though? I probably should have went to prison for stalking. I stalked you.
Yeah.
I don't know how many of you remember this thing called MySpace. MySpace MySpace was before Facebook,
Yep.
Instagram, all that. Mm-hmm. MySpace, see, that's what we used to have in our days. MySpace.
Your top 8. You had a top 8.
You had a top 8, yeah, and Tom always had to be in the top 8.
Yeah.
The guy who started it.
Yeah.
But
yes.
I was on the bus the next day, and I was like, man, who was that? I knew that you were there with some of your teammates because you played basketball. Mm-hmm. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to figure out a way to find her. I got nothing but time. I got a 4-hour ride right now. I'm going to figure out a way to find who she is. So I start looking up colleges in the town that we played in. And I looked for a team roster of all these colleges. And then I found your name. And then I went and typed your name in on MySpace. There was a lot of legwork behind this. So I knew she was the one because I went through a lot of effort to try and find her. And then I typed it in, and I sent you a message, right? Mm-hmm. I sent you what the kids call DMs now.
Yeah.
I was in your DMs early.
Slid into my DMs.
I slid in. Yeah.
I remember thinking, how?
How did I find you?
How did you find me?
And now you knowing me, when I make my mind up.
Oh, it's
done.
Nothing or 100.
Yeah, all or nothing. Drake came up with that song from 0 to 100 real quick. Real quick?
Yeah.
Real quick. Is that how it goes?
That was it.
I was really the first 0 to 100.
Then you went out of the country.
Oh yeah, then I left. Yeah, we left. So I just sent you DMs, and then we exchanged numbers. Mm-hmm. And I remember the first time that we spoke. I never forget. I remember where I was when we spoke. I was walking through a mall. I forgot what town it was. I know exactly where it was. I'm not going to say where it was, but when I heard your voice, the first thing that I thought was, dang, she got a deep voice.
I do. I do. But you know what's interesting is I do remember though, later in conversations, when we started dating and stuff, and you were like, I like your voice. Like that was something that you liked. And I can remember being a little girl and like I always had this really deep voice. So much so that like my choir teacher told me something was wrong. He told my mom something was wrong with me because of my voice. Like something must be wrong with her vocal cords. She has a very deep voice, like a freakishly deep voice. And I remember like being sad about that and telling my mom about how I was embarrassed by this deep voice. And she told me, she said, you know what, Carly, one day when you meet Mr. Right, whenever that is, I promise he will like your voice. Like whoever you're supposed to be with, whatever you're worried about, whatever you're embarrassed about, it's not going to matter to them and they're actually going to really like your voice. And I can remember us having a conversation and you telling me it was different or...
and that's something.
Yeah.
So that's how you knew. When you knew Prince Charming, when that one was going to say, I like your voice.
I like your deep man voice.
That was it.
Yeah.
So then I left out of the country. So we saw each other in January.
Yeah.
Didn't actually speak to each other in person.
No.
I left and went to Europe in February and didn't come back until like the end of April.
Yeah.
Came back to the end of April, and then we finally actually got to meet each other in person.
Yeah.
Should we tell them where we had our first date?
Sure.
And ladies and gentlemen, okay, I would never eat here ever now, just because, I just wouldn't.
We made different food. We made different food choices.
Sure. I was
15 years ago.
Right. I will tell you this. When we went here, that was really when I knew she was the one. Our first date was at Wendy's in Muncie, Indiana, right off the campus of Ball State. I will say this though, I never will forget when you ordered, because I was driving. Mm-hmm. No, you were driving. You were driving, and you were ordering. And you asked me what I want. I told you, and then you told me. I think you ordered. You asked for a chicken sandwich with cheese.
Spicy chicken.
Spicy chicken with cheese. And I said, what the she puts cheese on her chicken sandwich? I started to have second thoughts. I'm like, oh. I was like, wait, hold on now. Cool, we're going to Wendy's together. We can share. She's a down-home, good old girl. But why is she putting cheese on her chicken sandwich? Where do they do that at?
It's good. I mean, I haven't had it in a while, but I remember it tasting delicious.
I don't know if I've ever put cheese on it. Actually, I have. I think I have before. I think you made me. I went over to the dark side because you did. But I say that people, I think, sometimes see you, as we do with everyone, and they think you're one way. But like I try to tell people, I'm like, she is the most fun, like, tomboyish, like people think, oh yeah, like yeah, let's go. Like no, like she's like, yo, let's go out and do this and that. Like you're the same frequency as, which I think this is why I love you so much, is because it's like we can just do anything. Like yo, let's go outside and shoot. Before you know it, now we're playing one-on-one. Mm-hmm. Or let's.
I really want to go to. I feel like I want to do more of the quote unquote. Guy, dude type of stuff more than you do. Like, oh, let's go to this basketball game. Oh, let's go to this football game. Let's turn on football. I'm
like, no, let me just
sit
here and read this book.
Read this book and talk about it.
But if you look at everything, the masculine and feminine energy, you're more masculine. Mm-hmm. I'm more feminine.
Yeah.
Which is why it works, because you balance out my masculine and I balance out your feminine. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So then, like I said, we went to I went to Europe, and then we finally met, and then I think really that was in like April, May. We realized then, like I remember I wanted to propose to you, like then. I'm like, there's like, why would I wait? Like we're gonna get married. I know I'm gonna marry her. Why am I gonna wait? But then I realized, I'm like, oh well, I can't do that, because then what does everybody gonna think? Like, oh, he met this girl, now he's gonna get her married. So I remember thinking like, okay, that was in April. I'm going to propose to her in. Did I propose to you in December?
Or
was it the following December?
Yeah.
Following December, right? So the following December. So should we tell that? Should we tell that story?
I mean.
No! Can I explain my logic behind it?
I guess I just.
So we had
It's
bought
one
a
of those
house.
things where you know people are going to ask you, and like your kids are going to
Like-
ask you. For some reason, I knew that. I don't think you knew that.
Well, you also
Like,
know.
oh, I could tell the story forever.
I don't.
Awesome.
I always think big picture. So I was thinking like, who cares about what it looks like? Big picture, you'll never forget this. Maybe? All right, we're going to tell
Sometimes,
you.
yeah, I guess.
So I made that, we went, it was Christmas. It was around Christmas.
Yeah, yeah.
And with the Globetrotters, we always left on Christmas morning. So I knew I was leaving soon. I only had like a couple days before it was time to leave. Well, we were at the mall and we were walking around and we went to K Jewelers and we were just looking at rings. You're like, oh yeah. I was like, you like that one? You were like, yeah, I like that one. And we're just kind of like, okay, she likes that one. She likes that one. Okay.
I wasn't like also.
No, yeah, you
like
weren't.
I wasn't like, oh, I want this ring and I want this cut and I want
No,
this
no, yeah.
band and all. It wasn't, not that I didn't think we were going to get engaged. I knew we were eventually getting engaged, but I'm still not like, oh, what is her ring? What is, some women are like that. Some men are like that.
Sure.
I just was like,
Yeah,
oh,
you didn't
that's
care.
cool.
Yeah. But I'm like, all right, well, I'm only going to buy one of these, so I want to make sure it's what you want. So I was just kind of asking without you knowing that I was asking. And then we went home the next day. We went home. The next morning, we were young. We didn't have kids.
No, just our dog.
I think the place opened at 10 and you still weren't awake.
Probably,
you
yeah.
still weren't up, so I left.
Yeah.
I left, ran and bought it, and then came back home and then put my pajamas back on like I never left. Remember that?
Yeah. Like, oh.
Right? So then I'm like, okay, how am I gonna do this? How am I gonna do this? I never thought that you were gonna say no. That never crossed my mind.
All right. We were living together.
We were already
Right.
living together, but then I thought to myself, I'm like, okay, I gotta do this in a way that she can't run away. Like you can't leave.
Run away.
I don't know why I thought that. Like for some reason, I think subconsciously that was probably my fear. You see these things like shotgun weddings where people like at the last minute they get cold feet and
Oh
they
my
run
God.
away. Like I'm like, I got to do it in a way that she can never run away. And I don't know what happened. I think I heard I was downstairs. I heard you were awake, and I know that when you're awake, the first thing that you do is you go to the bathroom and let it all, whatever you had to let out.
Pee. Everybody
Yeah, okay,
pees in the
pee.
morning.
Yeah, that too. That too. So I'm like, this is my chance. And to be honest with you, I kind of blacked out a little bit. I blacked out. Like
I think once you heard I was awake, you just like
I'm doing
you weren't thinking anything. You just thought, okay,
I'm doing it.
She's awake.
I don't care
It
where
doesn't
she
matter
is.
what's happening.
Doesn't matter.
I need to disrupt her, and
We're going to do this right now, and
Yeah.
whether she's sitting on the toilet or she's in the shower or
right.
we're doing this. And I went upstairs, and it just so happened you were sitting on the toilet. I'm like, okay, well, so I got down on one knee because that's what you've seen on all these fairy tale proposals. So I got down on one knee, and you were just sitting on the toilet, and I said, mission accomplished. She can't go anywhere right now. She is stuck.
Oh my gosh, actually this is interesting because I never knew why. I'm just like, right now, yeah, right now. It's like
Yeah, so there. The world knows now. That was our proposal story. So
it's maybe happened before with somebody, but I don't know if anyone's ever told that was their story, like we just did.
I got nothing to hide here.
I mean, same.
So
Yeah.
that's it. Now here we are. Going on 12 years later.
Yeah.
2
Well,
kids.
it would have been like 13 because we were engaged for about a year.
Oh yeah, we were engaged for like a year and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now here we are. What's the biggest thing you learned? These almost 12 years of marriage.
The biggest thing, and this has changed. I'm sure if you would ask me after 5 years, what's the biggest thing? After 10 years, what's the biggest thing? But now looking back, I can say that you really have to love yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you gotta, and you have to have a partner who is going to allow you to love yourself as you and not what they want you to be or what they think you should be, but to really lean into who you are and be proud of that, take pride in that.
Do you think it's important for you to Because I think back, like, when we got married and when we met, like, obviously you know yourself and you love yourself to that level that you know, but, like, you really, now looking back on it, it's like, dang, you didn't even really know who you were, D. Like, you didn't.
Yeah. Well, also, I mean, you think about, you know, I met you when I was 21.
Right.
You were 25.
Yeah.
And all the growth that takes place, whether you're in a relationship, whether you're not in a relationship, from 21, we got married when I was 23. We had our first child when I was 24. All of the things that happen just in life in general, whether you're married or not, but then you have a partner that you're sharing that with.
Yeah.
And the way you evolve through all of those moments and those different seasons, and they're so different.
Yeah.
So it's important to have that foundation of knowing who you are and loving yourself, because if you don't, what will you go back to?
Yeah, that's good. So I think probably, because the last thing you want people to do, people always say, oh, marriage is hard. Like, is it really hard, or is it just takes intentionality? It takes like commitment. It takes, so, you know what I mean? Like, this is like with our kids. They want to say, oh, this is going to be hard. Well, it's not going to be hard. It's just, it's going to have to take more focus for you to get this thing off the ground. Like, I feel like marriage is the same thing. Like, it has this stigma of, like, it's like hard. It's scary. Like, it's.
I think that for us, we're different. Not every relationship starts off with you're in a different country some of the time. And so we were forced to communicate.
Communication is everything.
And a lot of people take for granted, oh, well, you're with me all the time. You come home from work, you're here, we're doing this, we're doing that. But, like, because they're physically there together, I think that they lose touch of the communication piece. And when you're 6 hours ahead or 8 hours ahead, you're in Australia, you're in
or you're not going to see
Dubai,
me for
you're in
50
wherever.
days.
Right. You really focus and lean into, like, okay, we have this 20 minutes to talk. Let's get in all of the really good stuff here and really share what we're feeling, because I may not talk to him for another day, and then when I do, it's going to be quick. And so I think it's communication. I think pieces of marriage can be hard. I truly don't look at our marriage and think like, oh, that was hard, or because loving you, which is the foundation of our marriage, and I know it's not the foundation of every marriage, is easy for me. So I think if you have that, and that's that's the soil, that's the fertile ground that you always come back to, is that I do love you, and I don't have to. So all the other things, whether it's bills or whatever it is in marriages that cause that friction, that cause that stress, none of it really matters.
Yeah.
Because the soil's there of you and I and why we're married.
Yeah. And no, that's when you were talking, I was thinking, I was like, wow, like, water to a tree is like communication to a relationship. Like, you gotta, and we were forced, like, that was our foundation. That's what we built it upon. It's like, we gotta learn how to talk. We gotta learn how to communicate, because if we don't, I'm not gonna see you here for another 45 to 60 days. Yeah. And, like, that's what I think I would hang my hat on with our relationship. What we do best is,
I think too, because we're like, I think in a typical relationship, the man has their stereotypes and the woman has their stereotypes if you're in a heterosexual marriage, obviously. But I think that because you being more of the feminine and me being more of the masculine, a lot of times, you had to pull that communication piece out of me.
Well, I had to tell you, like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that's where see, a lot of people don't embrace it, though. Like, that's why they say opposites attract. Yeah, that's because the masculine and the feminine are what's needed to create the harmony. But a lot of times, when we get into a marriage, we're unaware. So if I'm super feminine and you're super masculine, meaning not like in the sense of like you're a man, but like your energy is more like action oriented. It's more like, come on, let's do it. Yeah. And mine is more like, yo, let's wait until things come into.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't understand that, now I look at you and I'm like, why is she always in a hurry to do something? We got it.
Yeah.
Or you're looking at like, he don't ever want to do anything. He wants to just sit around and
right, because you're,
But it's understanding that, like, you balance out me and I balance out you. So I can lean in and embrace the way you are because I know like, oh wow, that's actually helping me to be a little more masculine. And I can say, hey, just like, it's no big deal, relax. That helps you to be a little bit more feminine.
Yeah.
And now...
But that took intentional conversation between us
but
to say like, oh wow, here's the awareness. Like you are more this way, I am more this way. Because we understand each other, we're actually talking about it. It's not one of those things that's like, oh, we're not discussing it, but this is just the way it is.
Yeah.
That's when problems happen. And I think that we've had those hard conversations of like, this is why I'm doing it this way.
Yeah.
You know, and meeting somewhere in the middle.
I think too, with a lot of relationships that, especially marriages that don't make it, the foundation of respect isn't there. Like we respected each other, but we only respected each other because we respected ourselves.
Right.
So it's like you see in relationships when you don't respect yourself, you can't respect the other person because you're only going to respect the other person at the same level that you respect yourself.
Right.
So which is because we do respect ourselves, like I'm never going to say anything to hurt you. I'm never going to do it like, and you'll do the same, which is why we can have intentional, meaningful conversations when things we maybe aren't on the same wavelength.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think here what we need to do is, because I don't want to paint a picture that everything is just hunky-dory. You got to show both ends of the spectrum. I think what we need to do is at some point here we need to tell them, like, we need to pull the curtain back and really go and tell them the real.
Yeah.
If y'all want to see this, you want to hear more about like the real, make sure you hit like, make sure you hit subscribe. Let us know what questions you have for us so we can help you on your journey or in your relationship.